Hi everyone, it's Lynn here, and today I'd like to show you the endless possibilities of Close to My Heart cardstock, what you can do. This is truly amazing that we have phenomenal cardstock of great quality, and look at all of the colors. There's over 40 colors that we carry, and they're two-sided, they're two-toned, so I'm going to go through that, but it's really amazing what we have as far as a rainbow. So think about when you're using cardstock, the quality of it and what you can do with it, because this is truly amazing. Our cardstock has a white core, which allows us to do a couple of distressing techniques. So let me show you that. But before I do, let's talk about the fact that it's two-tone. So when you see here, I have mist, but when I flip it over to the opposite side, can you see the second tone? So the natural color is the dark color, and then you have the light color of mist. So you can put them together. Now this is something that we created at the album retreat, and I haven't finished it yet because I want to add my photos, but I really wanted to show you what you can do. What a fun layout this is, just by using 2-inch strips of our cardstock where you have both tones showing. So we have melon, light and natural. This looks like lemonade, light natural. Then we have sage, light natural, and then glacier, light natural. So all of these colors give you that two-tone look just by cutting strips of paper. One of the things that I love to do is also to distress our paper by tearing it and then maybe doing a little bit of rolling. So can you see what I mean? That our paper has a white core, so when you tear it, it shows, right? So here's the most simplistic way of tearing paper. You take your strip or whatever piece you want and you pull it apart. And you make it as jagged as you want. Now, one side will be the white core showing, and then the other side will be the natural side. If you flip it over, it does exactly the same thing, but on the two-tone side, the lighter side. Now, here's a really fun thing for those of you who are afraid or you really want to have this clean, really clean look. If you take your water brush and just wet the paper, and I'm going to flip it over, and I'm just doing this right in the middle. As you can see, my water brush is nice and juicy. It saturates the paper, and then what happens is it just makes it super easy to tear right along that line. You want to give it a little bit more time to seep through or add a little bit more water, but that is how easy it is, and I love that you can do that. But you know what? We can also sponge our cardstock. We can add a little distress to the sides, or the other thing is rolling. If you roll your paper while it's still wet, you can see there's this great little edge that you can get to either side, right? If you rather roll it where you want the darker side to show, you can roll it that way. And don't mind if it rips. It kind of gives it that little extra fun detail. Now, the next thing I'd like to show you is that you can use scissors. We used to sell an edge distresser, but the scissors work just as well on paper. So if you see the white core showing, be very careful with your sharp scissors. Open them up and just rub this and fray the edge. Totally another great look for a card or layout. And this is all I'm doing right here. Super cool and so easy to do and so effective that you have this nice line. So you could do it on any of your cardstock, around a photo and whatnot, and get this really cool look. Here's one of my favorite things to do as well to our cardstock. Not only do I love to tear, but I love to sand cardstock. Now you can use sanding paper, a sanding bar, anything you have, a nail file, even just to do the edges. But when you have this white core, and I'm going to get a little closer so you can see. Can you see how distressed it's getting? Isn't that a really neat look? So the more you press, the more you press, the more white core will show. Now, if I had the really scratchy paper, I can go this way against it and get a really cool crosshatch. We just sanded the edges, and this is Harbor paper. Look how cool this looks when you sand it on the card. Isn't that fun? This is our Hey Handsome card making workshop kit, and you can see how I sanded this whole piece, which is Harbor cardstock. Our sapphire also looks like jeans, and then you can also add a little extra to the edge for a great look. So here's what I mean. If you just want to do the edge and keep the center, you can. Here's that crosshatch look where you have sanding paper that's really gritty and you're going in one direction and then you go in the other direction. So it gives you a really fun, distressed, scratched look. Here you can see it again on another color. So it's that's what's great about the cardstock. Having that white core allows you to get a couple of cool looks. Now, you can still do this to cardstock. I did it to pattern paper, but cardstock works it well. You can just crumple this up, right? I know. This is a great look to do also on pattern paper that maybe you're not happy with, but this is just doing our cardstock, right? So you can see I didn't even wet it, but you can get as many crunchy looks to it as you want, right? Open it up. Smooth it out a little bit and look at what you can do. Take that sanding paper. So whatever color you're really interested in distressing, like this, gives it a really old look, right? You can even do the edges a little bit more. Isn't that fun? Now here's periwinkle on periwinkle. This is another cool thing that you can do is swipe it with ink as well. So you'll get a double look in a way. So a little bit of sanding as well as a little bit of ink. So you can do this look to our cardstock as well. Here's another fantastic look of what you can do, which is embossing your cardstock. So you can see how the white core shows is because we sanded it. Here's doing a double line. And then this is using an embossing folder and sanding it. So what do I mean by embossing? I'm just going to use this quick tool to show you. Here's some cardstock. And you have a scorer. Some of your trimmers have scorers. If not, you can use a scoring tool. And I'm just going to do a couple of lines. I'm just going to press, not rip it, and say every 1/4 of an inch. Right, so I have 3 lines. You can see that. And all I need to do is, I did this side, you flip it over, and now you take your sander, and that's the look you get. Exactly the same thing, but take an embossing folder, use the sanding on top, and you'll get this great look. But once again, just like we did with this paper and swiping it, if you use an embossing folder and then swipe it with ink on top, you get this other great look with our cardstock. So we can do the same thing here. I'll tell you what I'll do. Let's show you. Now let's move this down to this end, right? And we'll do some 1/2 inch lines. So I'm going to go to here and like 1.5 should be about there. Okay, so here you can see my 3 lines, and this is another way that you can take your ink and swipe it on top like that. So that's another fun distressing way to play with our cardstock. Let me show you another thing that you can do with our cardstock, and I love it. I call it swathing or leathering, and it's where you can apply ink to the color. All right, look at the different things you can do. You can crumple it like I've showed you and add color. You can do a phenomenal, this to me is like a Tuscany look. And I want to show you something like that where you're adding a couple of inks. But let's just start out with one ink. So here I have Sundance. And my Sundance paper, so I can do the light side or the dark side. And all I want to do is swipe it. Isn't that cool? Really easy to do. Now, if you want to add a little bit more color to this one, I think I'm going to go with mocha, a nice rich brown. I can just add a little bit, just towards the edges. So now you can see you get a really rustic look. So you can play around with the colors, but I love the fact that our cardstock absorbs the ink and you have the chance to create really so many different looks by using ink on our cardstock. Now, if I'm using white, here's white, I'm going to start out with some shortbreads. See, I haven't played with this color combo before, so we're going to see. Shortbread is like a beigey, not sure what I'd call it, like a little bit of a toasted color. I'm going to try peach. Melon would probably work really well too. Ooh, this is really pretty. But I love look at the colors. So you can look at the colors in your photos, change it up and add a little bit more. Now here's toffee, which is a little bit browner. And I just want to add a little bit maybe. You can also just do a little bit of distressing that way instead of swiping it. But now you can see the look that you get. I'll go back to the peach. I really love that you can play and change it up with inks to our cardstock. Pretty cool. Just play with it and you'll see it's pretty amazing what you can do when I show you and you let it dry like that. Isn't that pretty? Another awesome thing to do is to actually use our shimmer brushes. We have so many colors in shimmer brushes, and I don't know if you can get a really good, see the shimmer in that, but you can take it and actually, here's papaya, and just splatter your paper. Squeeze it out a little bit. I usually do this in a box, so I just want to show you right here. And then it will dry, and if you want a little bit wetter, squeeze it a little bit more. But there's so many colors that this comes in, and it will dry really pretty. If you wanted to do a darker paper, now that's paprika, and here is our paprika. So here's paprika cardstock and the shimmer brush. So you can do a little bit of the same color to get a nice tone-on-tone look. Now shimmer, you can just use this as well, like this, and it adds a little bit of a shimmer look to your paper. But that is the look I was going for, something soft and easy. And I love that I can play. I can edge my cardstock with ink. So many great things that you can do to our cardstock. Remember, over 40 colors. So the last thing I want to do is show you that you can also stamp our cardstock. So you can see I've stamped it here. I've stamped it. I've sponged it. I've stamped it. It's really pretty amazing, right? All the different things you can do. But look how pretty this card is right here. So I just want to show you how easy it is when you have stamps. And I want to do some periwinkle. And you see how nice our paper absorbs the ink. It's not smearing anywhere. I'm also going to do a little bit of Harbor in the middle. So you can see this is from our Floral Sentiment stamp set. So this is first generation, second generation. And then I can take my Sundance. So I'm going to use this little oval. So I've used these two stamps right here and this little guy right here in the middle. So you know what? When somebody says my stamps didn't work well with the paper, if it's not our paper, there's a chance the quality of the paper isn't working well for you because of the stamps, because of the quality of the paper. The stamps and inks are fine, but it could be just that the paper doesn't have the quality, the thickness, the absorption that it needs, or it could have a glossy tone to it. So I can tell you that our paper is phenomenal for stamping on. We are a stamping company, so this is really important to us to have the right product for what we use. Well, that's it. Lots of ways for you to enjoy all of our cardstock and take advantage of all the colors that we have to offer, all the different techniques that we have, and really enjoy everything that you're seeing here. And I hope you try it and have some fun.